Hi! The hardest thing for me about having a homestead, planning a homestead, dreaming about a homestead is the waiting. It's really hard when you want things to be a certain way and you in your heart are ready for them, but life is not ready for you yet. You have to wait. You have to get things in place. You have to be ready financially. You have to have the infrastructure. You have to have a place for things. You have to build all this stuff. And sometimes you have to do things in steps, in slow steps, very slow steps. And it's hard to wait. And so what do you do when you're trying to patiently wait for something? Well, the best thing I've found to do is to use that time to get ready, to prepare, to be comfortable with what's going to happen, to get myself ready for the things that I'm going to have to do that surround this new adventure. And so Brian and I are working on our property to get it ready for some new animals. And so while I'm waiting, I am doing a lot of research, I'm learning new things, and I'm experimenting. And so I thought I would show you a bit of what that looks like today. So I'm going to be making homemade yogurt. And I've done this a few times, and I'm experimenting some with it to get it how I like it, and also looking at how different kinds of milk and ingredients react to the process that I want to use and how I would like to prepare yogurt in my home. I really enjoy eating yogurt. I probably eat it a few times a week for breakfast particularly, or for me it's a great replacement for things like ice cream, where I crave something cold and creamy and I can have yogurt instead, and sometimes that saves some calories, so I like to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. The yogurt is actually really easy, so I think you'll be surprised if you love yogurt at how easy it can be to make at home. So I like doing it in my Instant Pot. I just have a regular Instant Pot here, and so the Instant Pot actually has a yogurt setting on it, and this makes it really easy to do the culturing that is part of creating yogurt. Another thing I've done is I found a local source for milk, and so this is actually Jersey milk from a farm that's maybe 10 minutes from our house, and so I really like using this. This is Jersey milk, so it's really nice and creamy, and I'm hoping it will make really good yogurt. So far I've only experimented with using the organic A2 and just using regular old off-the-shelf milk. I didn't really like the consistency of the vanilla brand milk that you can get at any grocery store. I think something with the ultra pasteurization process makes it a little grainy, and also that type of milk is a little bit harder on your stomach. I'm not sure if this milk is A2 or not, which basically means it doesn't have the proteins in it that cause people to have problems with the lactose in the milk. So that is something that bothers me some, so we'll see how this works for me. I don't have like a significant problem with lactose though, so I'm not too worried about it, but I am kind of curious because this would be a good source of dairy for us, for good dairy. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how this works. So to start with, we're just gonna plug in the Instant Pot and turn on the yogurt setting, and then I'm going to adjust this to get it to this boil. And I think you'll be amazed at how easy this is to bring milk up to a boil. I really like this. So you basically just turn that on and get your milk. Yeah. My hair is long, so I get hairs everywhere. And we're just gonna dump this in here. And from there, I will grab my lid. My handle's a little cracked, but otherwise and put that on, and we are going to set it and forget it. It's basically good to go until the Instant Pot beeps, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so the Instant Pot has beeped, and that means it's done with the boiling. Try not to burn your house down while you're at it. So we're just gonna open it up. It smells good. You can tell this already that this milk is a little different because it's got this lovely sort of custardy look to it. Then the next thing we want to do is take this out, and I like to just leave it sit somewhere where it's going to get good air circulation. And then I have my Thermapen. I can have Brian leave a link to this on Amazon in the description. This is I love this thing. So it takes a really fast temperature. So for example, if I just pop this in here right now, it's going to tell me within however long that was that this is 179 degrees, 79.9. So I really hate the ones where you have to kind of dink with it and play with it. So this is really nice, and you can use it in multiple places. You can use it in meat, you can use it basically anything that you can stick it in, or that's liquid like this. It works really great. So I use it for candy, I use it for everything. And if you think about it, leaving something sitting in your pot is just waiting for an accident to happen, when really what you want to know is at the point in time when you're going to look at it, what's the temperature. So if you get an instant read, then you can put it in there and you can see what the temperature is. So it makes a lot of sense, and then you don't have something in your pot. So I use this, and it's got a magnet on it, so it just goes on my refrigerator. I just rinse it off when I'm done with it. It's awesome. So I will have Brian leave a link to this, but we're going to wait for this to get to 115 degrees, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so we're going to check the temperature again. Let's see, and it's about 144, 145, so we're going to leave it sit a little bit longer. So I'm back, and we are at 114.3, so that's perfect. So what I'm going to do next is get a whisk and a little bowl. And what I'm going to do is just use that to very gently scrape off this skim that's on the top. So trying not to get any of that back into the milk too much. Get a lot of it off. I'm having a little trouble with it, so I think I'll get a fork. Slotted spoon, so that will work. Yeah, because what you want to do is you want to get all these bits off, because those will just make your yogurt kind of have these clumpy bits, and they don't taste very good. They're not bad necessarily. They just taste kind of grainy, and you want your yogurt to be nice and smooth, so try to really carefully get those out of there. My hands are very clean. I'm just going to stir that a little bit. And if anything is stuck to the bottom of the pot, get that off too. Float it to the surface now. I'll let that set a second and kind of watch. And mostly what I'm seeing is just how rich this milk is. It's gorgeous. It's sort of got this, I can actually see the, I don't know, fat globules, I guess I would call it. It's just got this lovely butter color in it. So, very yummy. So, now we have our milk warm, and what we want to do is put a starter into it. And so you can either do one of two things. One, you can get yourself a yogurt starter, and you can just get these on Amazon. I can have Brian link them in the description. And these are just starter cultures. And so if I were going to use one of these, I would just tear it open and add it in here and stir it up really well. But what I found I really like doing is I either keep some yogurt from my last batch, or I just get a nice yogurt that is pretty much just basic yogurt. So no extra ingredients. So this one is milk and cream line, live active yogurt cultures. So that's really what you want to see, is very little ingredients, live active yogurt cultures. And you know, usually there's like bacillus and theophilus and stuff like that. Those illuses, those are all good things, so don't worry about those. If you see preservative type names on there, that's when you want to start to worry, because those can impact creating a new yogurt with the culture that's in there. So a lot of the recipes I've seen have actually called out this Fage brand of yogurt. When I get it, I get the 5% milk fat version. I like this brand because it's a non-GMO brand, so that's good. And what we're going to want to do is, it's got a little plastic cover on there, is just put 2 tablespoons per half gallon. So I've got a half gallon here, so I'm going to add 2 tablespoons. Here we go. And you don't want to add really, this isn't something where a little more is better. It's really, you just want just enough. Otherwise it makes the yogurt grainy. So if it weren't, I would have just grabbed a regular spoon and eyeballed it a bit, but I didn't want to do that with this because it is a little bit more of a precise type of thing. And I like to get this really pretty good and stirred in there, so I wait until I can't see that little bit of yogurt kind of floating around in there anymore. Clean up the edges. And since this is warm still, it pretty quickly kind of melts into it. So, yep, that's a little bit more of the skim on the top. So, you don't want that. So, now we've got our milk with our yogurt. And we'll just put that back in the Instant Pot. Put our lid on. So I'm just gonna put the lid on now that it works. And we're going to press yogurt. And you see how it's on our last setting now? Just make sure the camera angle's good here. I'll zoom in when I'm doing this here. So we don't want it to boil. So I'm going to cancel that. But I'm going to go back to yogurt. And to change the settings, you just hit adjust. So you could let this set for 24 hours. I am going to do mine for 8 hours. Oops. And then that will just go from there. And once that's done, we will have yogurt to start straining. Okay, so our yogurt has finished and now it's time to strain. So we're going to take it out of the Instant Pot. And it's just kind of tepid temperature now. I can take it out pretty easily. I have a bowl with a small strainer, and then inside of that I've got these nut bag, and that will, you could use a cheesecloth, a really good cheesecloth that's been doubled over a few times, or you could use a pillowcase or just something that you can strain this through. This mesh would just be so wide for something like a yogurt that it would just come right through. So you definitely want some kind of cloth. And what we're doing is we're straining the yogurt from the whey. A little bit left on the bottom that I will get a scraper for. What I like to do from here is just take this, and with this nutmeg I can just pull it up and cinch it, and then I can just put this in my refrigerator. If you are able, you could tie this somewhere and have it strain that way. I've seen a lot of people do that, so that's definitely something that you could do if you have that option. I don't really have a good place to do that, so I just put it into my refrigerator, and I will check it and pull the whey out and put that into a jar, which I then use when I'm cooking things. Like I will throw a little bit into a quick bread, into biscuits, into those kinds of things. It just adds protein. So yeah, so don't throw away your whey. If nothing else, give it to your animals. Your chickens will love it. Your pigs would love it. Your pigs would really love it. And you know, those kind of animals will enjoy this. So don't throw it away. But so I'll put this in the refrigerator, and we will check back. Okay, so I have a jar here, and I have our yogurt so far, and what I'm going to do just to keep this going is I'm very carefully going to put this whey into the jar. So you can see there's many homestead skills have to be practiced and learned. Dumping heavy things into jars is one of them that you have to learn. So I'm going to continue to let this strain a little, and I'll give it a little bit of a jiggle, maybe get things moved around some, and go from there. And then the next time I will use a scraper to scrape down the insides and get it a little bit more so that it can freely strain. And that will probably be the last time we do this, and the next time it will be ready to have yogurt. Okay, so I've had this in the refrigerator and I've been straining it, and now I'm moving it around a bit just to try and get a little bit more thickness to this. And this is something you can do to taste. So if you like more like a traditional yogurt where it's not too awful thick, then you can probably stop around this point where it's just pretty loose. I like my yogurt to be more of a Greek yogurt consistency, if not even thicker than that. So I do strain off a lot of the way. And so for me, I will just take my scraper and scrape down and just try and get a bit more of that out. One of the things I am noticing with this milk is that it does have some chunks in it, just like a little bit of a, almost like there was a skim on top when I poured it in. And I did notice that when I was doing it. So what I might do in future is, if I'm concerned about that, is just strain it with a regular mesh strainer into the bag and then go from there. So just kind of trying to get some more of that whey out. And this is fairly thick whey at this point, so we're getting really close. And so I'll just let this go a little longer in the refrigerator. I'll strain this out into my jar again, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so this is the final step here, and I did decide to try straining it through this fine mesh sieve, and we'll see if that helps with some of that little bit of grainy texture of the yogurt. It may be that it's too late for that, so we'll see. So what I like to do is kind of get it off to one side of this bag here so that I don't have to deal too much with the whole extent of the bag. And oops. I'll, as carefully as I can, get that into my bowl here. Scraper to try and get some of this down in there. This does seem to be working a bit, so that's good. You can see, but just it's got a little bit of graininess, and so that's what I'm looking to get rid of here, is just that little grainy grittiness. And to a certain extent I'm probably squeezing that out so that it's just not even there anymore, which is great because then I get more yogurt. So the last step is the really messy step, which is trying to get it out of this bag. This is one of the reasons why I like having the knot bags. When I first did this, I used cheesecloth, and it's a little bit more tricky to work with the cheesecloth, and these are a lot easier to reuse. So for me, it just ended up being both a time and money saver, but I don't think you really necessarily need anything special. You could use a very clean, just plain cloth towel. I wouldn't suggest using a terry cloth type of towel or washcloth, but maybe like a flour sack type. So that should work just fine. So I will wash my hands off, and maybe I'll bring a flour sack type towel over here to show you as I'm drying my hands. So this just sort of gives you an idea. This is actually a little onion bag thing, but just this really fine weave toweling would be just fine. So I'm going to scrape the rest of this through here. And I'm just kind of working everything through this sieve. This is a little bit more of a runny yogurt than usually I like. I like it almost a custard consistency. But it will work for today. And what I like to do with my yogurt is I really like to have a little bit of honey in it. So I have some raw honey, and I will just mix some of that in there. And it just makes it just a little bit more something. Honey, and I don't use any precise measurements with this, obviously. I just swirl on some honey on top. And a regular old spoon, and stir that in. I think I already told you, but I like using yogurt as a replacement for ice cream, and so this just makes it a little sweeter even. So let's give it a try. Yeah, that's really good. Definitely a little on the runny side, but really good. So I thought I would wrap this up by doing a little bit of a taste test with regards to what I think of this with comparison to the other yogurts that I've tried making. So I've tried making it with the regular homogenized ultra pasteurized milk that you get in a gallon out of the grocery store, and that was okay. It did have a really grainy texture to it, which I found a little bit off-putting, but the flavor was good and everything else was fine. The other one that I made was with the A2 organic milk at my grocery store, and that was really good. It was really good. But now that I've tried this, I don't want to have another kind of milk for my yogurt, which is sad because this is definitely my most expensive option. But it's so good. It's very, very creamy. I do think I would let it set a little longer than I did, just to get some of the whey out. I may experiment with trying to do the yogurt for a longer period, like a 24-hour batch. I need to research that though, so let me know what you've done to get more of the milk solids into your yogurt if you're a yogurt maker. Yeah, because I'd be interested in trying different things. But this is really good. This is really, really good. It's very sweet and creamy and has a very soft, delicate texture. If you are the type of person who really likes the sourness of yogurt, this making it at home may not be quite the same thing. You may actually have to let your yogurt sour or try kefir grains or something like that, because this is actually very sweet. I think it's very sweet. So yeah, compared to the yogurt you buy in a store, this is very, very sweet. So I really like it because of that. So I find that I don't like the taste of store-bought yogurt as much as my own homemade yogurt, so that's really nice. This is the most expensive, of course, option for milk for me, so that's too bad. But you know, I can make this much yogurt for around $5. So if I were gonna buy the yogurt in the store, it might cost around that to get a good organic yogurt. So I think the trade-off is fine. It does take me a little time because sometimes it takes me a full, 12-hour cycle or something to make yogurt. I mean, obviously I'm not sitting there by the stove the whole time, but it does take a little bit, so it's a labor of love, and I'm the only one eating it, unfortunately, because Brian would rather I make ice cream. So I think next time I get this kind of milk, I'll have to try making him some nice ice cream so he can partake of the yummy goodness. All right. Thank you for visiting us today. I hope you have a great day. See ya. Okay, come on. I'm not liking something. There we go. I'm worried. What did I stick in there? This would not have been a good experiment. There's some yogurt culture in there. Maybe Brian can take that part out. Just put it at the end. It's a blooper.